Millions of people take turmeric every single morning believing they're fighting inflammation. And here's the uncomfortable truth almost nobody tells them. On its own, turmeric barely does anything at all. Not because turmeric isn't powerful. It is. But because of a biological obstacle sitting right in your digestive system that quietly destroys most of its active compound before it ever gets the chance to work. And once you understand that obstacle, and the one simple addition that completely changes the outcome, you're going to look at that jar of turmeric in your kitchen in a completely different way. Today at the Wonder Lab, we're breaking down exactly what happens inside your body when you take turmeric, what actually works, what's a waste of money, and the one specific combination backed by real research that can genuinely help you fight inflammation first thing in the morning. Stay until the end, because the part about black pepper is going to change how you make this for the rest of your life. Let's start with what turmeric actually is, because the marketing around it has gotten way ahead of the biology. Turmeric is a root, closely related to ginger, and its most studied active compound is called curcumin, the molecule responsible for turmeric's deep golden orange color and for most of the anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects you've probably heard about. Curcumin has been shown in research to inhibit several of the specific molecular pathways involved in chronic inflammation, including a protein called NF-kappa B, which acts almost like a master switch controlling how your body turns inflammatory genes on and off. When that switch gets triggered too often or stays on too long, it's linked to a long list of issues: joint pain, digestive discomfort, and even the kind of low-grade, chronic inflammation tied to accelerated aging. That all sounds incredible. And it is, in a lab setting, where curcumin is isolated and delivered in concentrated form. But here's the problem nobody puts on the label. When you eat turmeric the normal way, stirred into a smoothie, sprinkled on food, or dissolved in a cup of warm water, your body absorbs almost none of the curcumin inside it. We're talking about bioavailability in the low single digits. Most of what you swallow passes straight through your digestive system without ever reaching your bloodstream in a meaningful amount. Why does this happen? Two main reasons. First, curcumin is what's called poorly water-soluble, meaning it doesn't dissolve easily into the watery environment of your digestive tract, which makes it hard for your intestines to absorb it efficiently. Second, and this is the part almost nobody knows, your liver treats curcumin as a foreign compound to be broken down and eliminated as quickly as possible. Through a process called glucuronidation, your liver rapidly metabolizes curcumin and flushes it out of your system, often before it's had any real chance to circulate through your body and reach the tissues where inflammation is actually happening. So if you've been taking turmeric for months and wondering why you don't feel any different, this is very likely the reason. It's not that turmeric doesn't work. It's that almost none of it is actually making it into your bloodstream in the first place. Now here's where this story turns around completely, and it comes down to a spice that's probably already sitting in your kitchen: black pepper. Black pepper contains a compound called piperine, responsible for its sharp, pungent bite. And piperine does something remarkable when it's combined with curcumin. Research has shown that piperine can increase curcumin's bioavailability by up to 2,000%. Not 20%, not 200%, up to 2,000% in some of the studies that first documented this effect. Here's how it works, mechanistically. Piperine inhibits that liver metabolism process we just talked about, glucuronidation, essentially slowing down how quickly your liver breaks curcumin apart and flushes it out. That gives curcumin significantly more time to circulate through your bloodstream intact, reach your tissues, and actually interact with the inflammatory pathways it's known to influence. On top of that, piperine appears to increase blood flow to your digestive tract and may enhance how easily curcumin crosses your intestinal wall in the first place. Two separate mechanisms, working together, turning a compound your body was mostly ignoring into one it can actually use. This is exactly why traditional Ayurvedic medicine, which has used turmeric for thousands of years, has almost always paired it with black pepper or prepared it using fat and heat in ways that happen to improve absorption, long before anyone had a name for bioavailability or understood what piperine was doing at a molecular level. Once again, ancient practice quietly stumbled onto something that took modern pharmacology centuries to actually explain. So let's talk about the practical side, the version of this that actually matters for your morning routine. If you want turmeric to genuinely help reduce inflammation, the ratio matters. Most research uses roughly a 1 to 20 ratio of piperine to curcumin, meaning even a small amount of black pepper, something like a pinch, roughly an eighth of a teaspoon added to a teaspoon of turmeric, is enough to trigger this dramatic increase in absorption. You don't need a spoonful of black pepper. You need a genuine pinch, consistently, every single time you take turmeric. There's a second factor that matters just as much: fat. Curcumin is fat-soluble, meaning it dissolves and absorbs far more efficiently when it's consumed alongside a source of fat, rather than mixed into plain water. This is why the classic combination, sometimes called golden milk, typically includes turmeric, black pepper, and a fat source like coconut milk, whole milk, or even a small amount of olive oil. That fat doesn't just improve the flavor. It's doing real biological work, helping curcumin dissolve properly so your intestines have an actual chance to absorb it, instead of it just passing through. So here's what an actual, functional morning anti-inflammatory routine looks like, based on the mechanisms we just walked through. Start with about a teaspoon of turmeric. Add a genuine pinch of freshly ground black pepper. Freshly ground matters here, because piperine content drops over time once pepper is ground and exposed to air. Combine it with a source of fat, warm milk, a plant-based milk, or even blended into a smoothie with avocado or nut butter. And ideally, take it on a relatively empty stomach in the morning, since research suggests curcumin absorption may be slightly more efficient without a large, complex meal competing for digestive attention at the same time. Now let's talk about why the morning specifically matters here, beyond simple habit-forming convenience. Your body's inflammatory markers, including a compound called cortisol, naturally follow a circadian rhythm, rising and falling in a predictable pattern across the day. For a lot of people, especially those dealing with joint stiffness or chronic low-grade inflammation, symptoms tend to be most noticeable first thing in the morning, right after a long period without movement overnight. Introducing a properly absorbed anti-inflammatory compound at the start of the day, when your body is essentially resetting its internal rhythm anyway, gives it the best possible window to start influencing those inflammatory pathways before the rest of your day even begins. It's not that turmeric loses all effectiveness at other times of day, but morning consumption lines up naturally with when a lot of people actually feel inflammation the most. Let's also talk about what the actual research shows in real people, not just in a lab dish. Multiple clinical trials using curcumin combined with piperine have shown measurable reductions in inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein, improvements in joint pain and stiffness in people with osteoarthritis, and in some studies, effects on markers of oxidative stress that were genuinely comparable to certain over-the-counter anti-inflammatory medications, without the same digestive side effects associated with long-term use of those medications. That doesn't mean turmeric and pepper are a replacement for medical treatment when it's actually needed. But as a consistent daily habit, the evidence behind this specific combination is significantly stronger than the evidence behind turmeric taken alone. There's one more myth worth clearing up before we close this out: the idea that more is automatically better. Curcumin doesn't work like a switch that gets more powerful the higher you push the dose. Past a certain point, absorption plateaus, and extremely high doses have occasionally been associated with mild digestive discomfort in sensitive individuals. The goal here isn't to maximize the amount of turmeric you're consuming. It's to maximize how much of what you're already taking actually gets used by your body, and that comes down to pairing, not quantity. So let's bring this all together. Turmeric alone, taken the way most people take it, delivers a tiny fraction of its potential benefit, because your own liver is working hard to eliminate curcumin before it ever gets the chance to circulate. Add a genuine pinch of black pepper, combine it with a source of fat, and take it consistently in the morning, and you turn a mostly symbolic wellness habit into something with real, measurable biological activity behind it. It's not about drinking more turmeric. It's about finally letting the turmeric you're already taking actually do its job. If this changed the way you're going to make your next cup of golden milk, hit subscribe to the Wonder Lab, because this is exactly the kind of everyday habit we love pulling apart here. The stuff that sounds simple on the surface, but hides real biology underneath. Drop a like if this was useful, and tell us in the comments if you've been taking turmeric without the pepper this whole time. And if you know someone who swears by their turmeric shot every morning, send them this video. They need to see what's actually missing from their routine. See you in the next experiment.